I probably mentioned this topic many times in my past videos, and this topic has been very well ingrained in the black pill theme, that being genetic determinism. And I haven't really dedicated a full video to that topic, genetic determinism, because I always made a video talking about something else, but I mentioned genetic determinism within that video. But I never actually dedicated an entire video about genetic determinism. And the reason why that is because this topic is a very huge topic, and it's a hard reality check for many people. And not many people can handle this topic because this topic hurts. This topic genuinely hurts most people, because most people aren't this kind of giga chads where they can just have an easy mode in life. Most people have many genetic disadvantages, maybe in the terms of face or height or frame, or maybe it's not even genetic determinism, maybe it's even environmental determinism, because they were born in an environment where there is no education, there are no opportunities. So that's the reason why I want to talk about it today with you guys. Welcome back everybody to another episode of Cigarillos Talk. The definition of the topic genetic determinism is that your life is already predetermined by your genetics. That being height, race, face, environment, your IQ, your parents that you were born from. And this idea of genetic determinism says that your life is already predetermined, that you can see your parents, their amount of success, and where you will land in life after 10 years or 20 years. This idea completely negates the concept of hard work, because this idea of hard work is being heavily promoted and heavily pushed by the self-improvement environment, by the self-improvement side of YouTube. Because if hard work was the only determining factor of your success, then I believe that many people would be more successful in life, whilst in reality it's kind of the opposite way. There are many people who say that they promote themselves, they try to, let's say, one-up each other by saying, "Ooh, I work more than you. Ooh, I woke up at 7 a.m. I woke up at 6 a.m. or p.m. I do not know the English if it's p.m. or a.m. It doesn't really matter. There are people who brag about how much they work, whilst in reality, there are people who are born into wealth. There are people who are born into such a good and genetic advantage in life, to the point that they don't have to work. You see, the concept of genetic determinism, it talks about how your life is already predetermined by birth. It is already predetermined by your genetics, because there are countless of examples of people being taller, being much more handsomer, being much more athletic, and they are treated far better than the average guy. The same way in the opposite spectrum, if a guy is shorter or uglier, he will be treated way harsher than the average guy. And because of that treatment, because of that conditioning in the early stages of life, during teenagehood, during childhood, these prepare people for a very different path at life. Tell me who is going to be much more successful in life? A guy who is attractive from the start, who is getting so much positive reinforcement and positive engagement from other people, who has built confidence, who has built skills because people gave him the time of day, who gave him attention and skills. Who is going to be much more successful? Would it be him, or the guy who is born shorter and uglier, who people just do not care about whatsoever? The guy who was being isolated in high school, who was being isolated in primary school? You see, there's a reason why shorter and much more unattractive guys have self-esteem issues. They're not so confident, they're introverted. Or on the opposite spectrum, they're overcompensating with doing other stuff. Maybe they're overly confident, maybe they're trying to overcompensate for their lack of genetic traits. There's a reason why these individuals have these certain personality traits. I have currently reached the thought pattern and the position of my own life where I believe that your character and that your identity aren't also yourself. They're not you. They're conditioned by the environment, to the point where if you were born in a different environment, if you were born in a different genetic spectrum, if you were born in a different genetic position, your character would be probably the total polar opposite. You would just have a totally different character. And this question of genetic determinism has led me to the question of who really is you? Who really am I? Like, what is the reason why I record videos? What is the reason why I'm so obsessed with the black pill in general. It is because I seek the truth and I want to understand what is the character trait that I cannot connect to any sort of genetic trait that I have. You see, I can just start questioning myself on, okay, why do I train kickboxing? Was it because anger issues maybe? Was it because I just love fighting? No, it is primarily because fighting is a sport that is very attractive. And I kind of have to overcompensate for my lack of height and for my lack of weight. So therefore, I have to overcompensate with getting better skills in combat to boost my confidence. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, I'm just saying that that's my coping mechanism, because I have to overcompensate for my lack of genetics. And you see, I'm not talking about how I'm a miserable guy, I have bad genetics. 99% of people have something that they don't like about themselves. It is just the level. Maybe this guy has an unattractive face and he's really bothered about it, but maybe there are other people on the other spectrum who have a really disgusting face, but they just don't care whatsoever. What I want to say is pain is relative. Insecurities are relative. Many people have to overcompensate with some things. And yes, I can use this word cope. Many people need to cope in a very bad sense. I'm not saying the word cope is a bad thing to say. It is just an explanation on how we function as human beings. And the reason why I train kickboxing is not really because I have an inherent interest in my own deepest parts of my heart to just hurt other people. It is more of a I just want to climb the social hierarchy. So that's not the true me, that's just my naturalistic desire, my genetic desire of lowering other people down and climbing up the social hierarchy by presenting myself by having better skills than other people. Because I see that other people treat fighting as a social status thing. If you know how to fight, people will respect you more in social situations. Okay, why do I then record YouTube videos? It is because I want to be in the position of leadership, because in my high school, I wasn't in any position of the leadership. I was an isolated kid. They isolated me pretty hard. That's the reason why I talk to the camera. That's the reason why I want to spread a certain kind of message, is because I want to connect with some people. I want to talk about certain topics that I cannot talk openly to other people. That's the reason why I record videos. It's not really because of my innate desire to be myself. It's more of a desire to show to the world that I'm not this pathetic little loser that's introverted. And the reason why I feel like a pathetic little loser that is introverted was because of the social conditioning from the start, from the childhood, which was due to my genetics. And I have started to question myself, okay, what's a thing that I truly seek and desire that is not due to my genetics? Because everything in life can be connected to looks and genetics. I could even say that my desire for art, because I'm an artist, even though I haven't painted in a very long time. I spent a huge part of my childhood just painting, drawing little tanks, drawing sceneries, just being interested in World War II and all of these autistic topics, history and all of that. The reason why I wanted to draw was because drawing gave me peace, because interacting with other people was hell. Because I didn't really love interacting with other people, because other people did not treat me how I wanted to be treated. So therefore, even this hobby of pursuing art, that also can be linked to genetics, because I wanted to avoid social interactions. So by me asking for these patterns and by me discovering these patterns about my past lives, about this past era of my life during childhood and all of that, I could kind of predict where I would be landing right now. Because all of this conditioning from the environment and from my genetics has created some certain characteristics, some certain character traits that can be only explained via looks and genetics. That is the reason why I started to hate the concept of self-improvement. Is because self-improvement says that your genetics do not matter whatsoever and that you can accomplish many things in life via self-improvement, via just working hard. And that is objectively not true. I already made a video talking about self-improvement, how self-improvement is mainly a monopolized industry and that self-improvement is a billion-dollar industry. It's because there are so many individuals on this planet who are in such a disadvantageous position in life to the point where they need to find some hopium. They need to find some hope in this life to just work for something, to just continue on living. Whilst in reality, many people should just accept where they are and they should just do things that bring them joy. And not stress about becoming a millionaire, not stress about achieving this ultra amazing thing in life. I'm not trying to disprove hard work. There is a part in life where hard work is important, but the factor of importance, the layer under hard work, is looks and genetics and the environment. You see, this concept of genetic determinism has started to make me question what is really important in life. Because if you say that working hard is so important, if you keep on questioning, you're gonna land to the position that looks are actually more important than hard work. And if looks are more important than hard work, then genetics are more important than looks. And what's more important than genetics? I haven't went to that list of importance, because every single thing that's important in this life is under a layer, because there are layers to this life. There are layers of importance to life. That's the reason why hard work will not be important for some people, because their genetic predisposition, their genetic components are not there, so therefore their hard work will not help them. You see, I started questioning myself, what did I achieve through hard work? And what did I achieve through genetics? And I came to the conclusion that everything right now that I possess is due to luck and genetics. Yes, there is a small factor of hard work, but the reason why I could work hard was because the genetic components were already there. I was born in an environment, in the territory, in Europe, in Croatia, where I have opportunities. I was born in a culture where opportunities were allowed for me to access. I was born with a certain level of looks and a certain level of character and goofiness that made some people love my character, that made me have friends. Because I have those friends, I could be much more confident in myself, so therefore I could train, I could work hard, I could build my physique, I could work hard in the gym, I could train kickboxing. Because of those genetics and because of the connections that I have from my family, because my family, even though yes, we had financial problems, we never really were in any financial crisis, and because my grandfather is very well connected to the community and my family also, I could use that as a leverage for my own success. And because of that, yes, there's a part of me where I have a safe position to develop as a human being, but all of these factors aren't because of hard work. That's the reason why I hate self-improvement, because you're trying to sell to the people who are in a disadvantageous position. They do not possess the things that you possess, so therefore your level of advice will not work for them. That's the reason why I do not really dive into this concept of self-improvement, because yes, there's a factor of self-improvement in my own channel where yes, you should work hard, but I also give you the reality pill. I also give you the black pill in saying that there are things in your life that you cannot change and you will struggle more than the other person. You see, the advices that I will give you on this channel, they're not applicable for everybody. They may be applicable for the 5% of the viewers, or maybe for the global planet. Because the things that I did, I could do them due to genetics and the environment. I could not train kickboxing if I was born in a village far, far away from everybody, if I did not have access to the internet. I could not record this channel, I could not get to 500 subscribers without having access to the internet, without having access to opportunities to earn money. Even though yes, I bought many things with my own money, this equipment, this dress, this phone that I'm recording with. Even though I bought it with my own money, I had the opportunity to work for my own money. Why? Because of the genetics and the environment. That's the topic that many people who are advantageous in life, who are genetically blessed, who are environmentally blessed, these are the things that these people do not understand. The blessings that you have in life, many people don't have. And you cannot brag about how hard you worked, because they do not see the hard work that you're doing. They see the things that you possess, and they do not see the hard work. They just see you having things that you have, and they believe that you made it because of the factors that they do not possess. I have certain friends who are rich, who have rich families, who are filthy rich. And sometimes I talk to them about money, about life, about philosophy, about religion, about women, just all these topics that I just want to talk about them. And they cannot fully grasp this idea of that working hard will not work for everybody, because they believe that money will just spawn. They believe that if they just work, money will just spawn for them. And I do not blame them for having this belief. I do not blame them for believing in this. It's because they're born into the opportunities of life where they can work hard. Because these kids are going to wealthy colleges, they will get good diplomas. They will use those diplomas to gather more money, to get better job opportunities. And because of that, yes, for them it is applicable that working hard pays off. But what about an ethnic kid in a white neighborhood which cannot do anything? What about a poor kid who never got the access to the internet or access to information or access to education? What about that kid? For him, working hard is not the same for a kid who is born wealthy and that kid also working hard. It's not the same. That's the reason why these two concepts, mainly genetic determinism but also environmental determinism, that's the reason why these two concepts are so important to discuss and to acknowledge. Now, by me saying that your life is already genetically predetermined, and by me talking to you on this channel about genetics, why am I so fascinated? Why am I so fascinated about these concepts, about these topics? Is because the average guy nowadays struggles a lot. I agree that life is difficult. I agree that life is very difficult for many people because we as humans have desires that we want to fulfill. Those desires being either arbitrary goals that we put on ourselves or biological goals like survival, reproduction, avoidance of pain. But some people suffer more compared to other people. There are some individuals who will just suffer for just existing, especially in social environments, because even though we humans are way more sophisticated than animals, we're still animals deep down. We still are made out of bones, flesh, and because we have the eyesight, we judge other people by what they present. That's the reason why there are so many individuals who say that they're incels. I do not know if I can use this word on YouTube freely. I do not know if I will have to blur it or censor it. But these individuals, the I words, there are many people who proclaim themselves that they are the I word. And many people say that's because, they're mental cells, they do not know how to interact with other people, they're just failed men, they're just men who fail to do their own thing. My claim is that they're not I words just because they are bad at life. They're I words because they're genetics. Today we live in an economy where men and women are equal. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, that's a very good thing. Because if we want to advance society and if we want to bring equality to the table, even though it's very hard because biologically men have certain traits that women do not, and women have certain traits that men do not, so we cannot really be equal in this sense. But in the terms of economical status, and because women date up, and because women date the men that are way more attractive than them, and that are way more, let's say, powerful than them in terms of status and money. Because women are right now in the exact same position as men in the terms of economics and opportunities in life. That's the reason why many I words today exist. And that is the reason why this concept of genetic determinism has really exploded. Is because there are many people who want to be in relationships, who want to have good and healthy relationships, but they just cannot. They cannot access that because the women who is their looks match, they would not go for them. They would go for a much more attractive guy. They would go for a much more wealthier guy. Because why should a woman settle for less? And the thing is, what can you really do in life if your genetics do not complement you? Because if you are under a certain level of looks, if you're under a certain level of genetics, every single interaction, every single talking point, every single thing that you do, you will struggle through that. I went out with certain individuals, and in these individuals there were women in the friend group. And at certain moments when we were like out and about in the city, and there's like an ugly guy drinking a bottle of water, like that was a brutal black pill to experience for me. There was just an ugly fat guy and balding just somewhere in the corner, just drinking a bottle of water. And a woman was just walking by within that friend group, and the woman just said, "Ew, look at that guy. Look at that guy just drinking water." And the thing is, like, yeah, like, understand, yeah, he doesn't look that appealing. But then after like 5 minutes, it just brutally hit me. Whatever you do in this life, if genetics do not complement you, if your genetics are not good for society, if society doesn't accept your genetics, everything that you do will be looked at as something unappealing, as something disgusting, because of that halo effect. That's the reason why there are so many of these OG black pillars who do not present their face on YouTube. If I was like truly not appealing to look at, I will also not be placing my face on the camera, because the things you say, they need to go through a filter, because people do not just listen to your words. They also need to see something, they also need to look at something, and because if you do not have the genetics, if you do not have the looks, they will click off. They will not listen to what you say, because they will think that the things that you say are not worth listening. That's the same concept with dating. That's the same concept with dating gurus. If a dating guru is extremely attractive, do not listen to their advice. Their advice is essentially useless, because whatever you say as an attractive guy, it will just flow. It will just totally flow. I mean, there's this current example in my own life that I do not know if I'm going to be uploading this. I was trying to date certain individuals. I was trying to date some certain girls that are just way out of my own league. And I was going through so many like attempts and messages of just trying to, let's say, sort of just max, or sort of just try to accomplish something. And none of them really worked. And until I improved my looks, and until I optimized my Instagram profile for, let's say, dating, to show off my lifestyle, only then some certain things passed. And if a woman is into you, if a woman truly likes you, whatever you say, bro, it just goes through. Like all these things that these dating gurus say, they can pass if you are attractive enough, but your attraction level is determined by your genetics. Of course, I'm not denying the idea that you can looks max, that you can improve your looks, that you can do certain things that boost your sexual marketplace value. But there's a limit. There's always a limit in life. You cannot be this best out of best guy. You cannot be Dolph Lundgren, if that's his name, if that's that actor from Rocky, from the movie Rocky. Some people are born with hard capped ceilings. Some people are born with good floors to start off. Some people are born with advantages and some people are born with disadvantages. And all of that is pure luck. All of that is pure luck, the genetic determinism, environmental determinism, and your hard work is already predetermined by genetics. And now, what can you do with that? What can you do with that information? What can you do with the fact that you're probably cooked? That you're one of those individuals that is probably cooked? What can you do? Because all of us males, because I believe that this topic is mainly discussed by men in general, all of us seek one thing, and that is biological reproduction, is to fulfill our biological needs. What can you do if you cannot fulfill that? Because we understand that women seek genetics first off, and after that, if they cannot get genetics, they at least want to get a lifestyle. They want to have a sustainable lifestyle. Either you have money, either you have that. That's one of the things that you can do. That you can just try to improve, self-improve so much to life that you just get money, so that you just get status and all that, to overcompensate with your lack of genetics. But what can you do if you cannot even do that? Because this concept of fulfilling your biological mission of reproduction, that shit will haunt you. It's because we're so deeply programmed for that. Everything that we do in life is so deeply programmed for reproduction. Training kickboxing, oh, that's a status thing. Having a better car, that's a status thing. Why is the status thing a status thing? Because having better status means easier chance to reproduce and to have sex. What can you do in life where you cannot get sex due to that? If you cannot get sex even by even having that, what can you really do? You see, having sex is a very good motivator in life. That's the reason why people who get sex on a weekly basis, they work hard. They don't really care if they work hard in construction or in some sort of other field, because they know that working hard gives them sex, or just having sex will motivate them to work hard. But individuals who do not have sex, who do not have sexual intercourse, who do not have anyone in their own lives, they're not motivated to do anything. It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy in some sort of way. It's kind of some kind of paradox. To work hard, you need to have sexual intercourse. But if you cannot work hard, you'll not have sexual intercourse. But also in the opposite way, sexual intercourse, sexual love in general, makes you work hard, and if you do not have love, you cannot work hard. It's kind of a paradox. You either have it, or you either don't have it. What should people do who do not have it? I do not know. I genuinely do not know. We just have to cope in life in some sort of way. You just have to cope in some sort of way by fulfilling, just doing shit in life. Finding a copium that fulfills you. I mean, that's the reason why there are so many men who just dive into politics so hard. I believe that there are so many individuals who dive so hard into politics is because they do not get sexual interaction. I don't know, you just have to fill your time with something. You just have to fill your time with something that you enjoy. That's not really connected to sex, but everything is connected to sex. That is that for this episode of Cigarillos Talk. I loved talking to you guys in today's video. See you guys in the next one. Capiche?